Hi everyone! Uh, Welcome back to Storybook Yoga with me, Megan Tronto. I hope you have had a great couple days, and I'm excited to share the Tale of Peter Rabbit with you by Beatrix Potter. The version I'm going to be reading is from the Gutenberg Project, which is a great project that collects many different books and texts, and then people just like you and me are allowed to read them for free and use them for whatever we want to use. So come along with me on the adventure with Peter Rabbit today, and then near the end of our practice, we'll get comfy and just practice some relaxation techniques. So, The Tale of Peter Rabbit by Beatrix Potter. This version is illustrated by Virginia Albert. Once upon a time, there were 4 little rabbits, and their names were Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. They lived with their mother in a sandbank underneath the root of a very big fir tree. "Now, my dears," said old Mrs. Rabbit one morning, "you may go into the fields or down the lane, but don't go into Mr. McGregor's garden. Your father had an accident there. He was put into a pie by Mrs. McGregor. All right, it's our turn to be little bunnies. Are you ready? So let's get onto our knees and then sit right down. Move your body on down here. Grab your heels and scrunch up just like a little bunny. Now, that's one way to be a bunny, but what's maybe another way to be a bunny? You could maybe hop, you could wiggle your tail, and let's see if you can wiggle your nose just like a bunny. Ready? You're pretty good at that. Now, you know what else I heard in the story? That the bunnies lived under a big tree, and there were roots under that big tree. Let's grow our roots out to the side here. And then let's grow our tree up in the middle. We'll tip our tree down to one side and touch the tips of our roots. Maybe tickle your toes there. Open up your heart to the sun. Let your leaves get some sunlight. And then your roots are going to suck up all of the water and nutrients so you can grow to be a big, strong tree. Let's tip to the other side. Suck up all of those nutrients and that water. Go ahead and suck up all the sunlight in your leaves. And then whoop, we'll grow into nice big trees. So let's grow a little bigger. Let's get up onto our knees and then onto our feet and make ourselves nice big trees that the bunnies are sleeping under. So put all of your weight into one of your feet and then just pick it up onto your toes. When you're standing here, find a spot that isn't moving to look at. I'm going to look at a picture on my wall. And then when you're feeling nice and stable, maybe try picking up your foot a little. Or kind of to a medium spot or way up high. I'm going to put my foot here. Once you're here, grow your tree arms. If you get wobbly, that's okay. Trees are wobbly in nature too, aren't they? Sometimes there's a wind. Sometimes there's a thunderstorm. And then let's switch to the other leg. So again, shift all your weight to that opposite leg. Bring your foot up just a little, or to a medium height, or to a really tall height, right way up here. Okay? Then when you feel stable, grow your branches. Maybe your branches look a little different today. Maybe it's nighttime and you close your eyes. Notice how that changes your balance. And then bring your tree back down to the floor, and let's see what happens next in our story. Here we go. Now run along and don't get into mischief. I am going out. Then old Mrs. Rabbit took a basket and her umbrella and went through the wood to the baker's. You know what? I think we can make a basket too. And let's think about some things that we might put in our baskets. So we're going to take one foot and one leg and put it in front of us. And then we're going to take the other foot and other leg and stack it right on top. Kind of like logs. Except here's our basket. So think about the things that you would put in your basket. Maybe an apple, an orange, maybe a yummy sandwich, or some salad. You are probably feeling a stretch right here. If you want a bigger stretch, you can crawl forward. Maybe you're reaching for some lettuce, some water. What else could we put in our basket? Maybe some nice, like a roll or some bread. And then let's come on up and switch to the other side. So we're going to make our basket on this side. Our foot goes here, and our other leg and foot goes here. If you have a little space here, you can put a pillow or a blanket in between. Sit up nice and tall, and then grab your supplies to put in your basket. I want some strawberries, and some blueberries, and some watermelon. What else could I put in there? What would you put in your picnic basket? That sounds good. Then the other thing that Mrs. Rabbit was carrying was an umbrella. So how would you make an umbrella? This is how I would make an umbrella. I would stand on my 2 feet and put them really close together. And then I would take my arms and come down like this, so I kind of look like an umbrella. I can even wobble like the wind is hitting my umbrella. Do you think I look like an umbrella? Is there another way you could make an umbrella? Let's see. Let's keep reading to see what happens next. She does not look very happy there, does she? She bought a loaf of brown bread and 5 currant buns. Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, who were good little bunnies, went down the lane together to gather blackberries. That's something we could put in our picnic basket. But Peter, who was very naughty, ran straight away to Mr. McGregor's garden and squeezed under the gate. Let's be Peter and run to Mr. McGregor's garden and then squeeze under the gate. So stand up. And now I have a blanket on my floor. Maybe you have a mat or something that you can run around. We're going to run it around it 3 times. But before we do that, we're going to just make sure there's nothing in the way. Nope, nothing in the way. Here we go. Let's run like Peter. We're going to run to Mr. McGregor's garden. That's 2, I think. One more time. Whew. And then when we get to this corner, we'll stop and we'll pretend to squeeze under the gate and pop our little heads up and see the garden. We can pop our heads down and then pop them back up and look at the garden again. What kinds of things do you see in the garden? One more time. Go down and pop right back up. Ooh, I see some yummy things to eat. I bet that's what Peter is thinking too. Let's see what he eats. First, he ate some lettuces and some French beans. And then he ate some radishes. And then, feeling rather sick, he went to look for some parsley. What What would you look like if you were rather sick? I might put my feet together like this, put my hands on my tummy, and roll back and forth. Maybe you even inhale on one side and exhale on the other side. Inhale and exhale. Maybe you would even lay on the ground if you felt rather sick and pull your legs up in and sway back and forth. Let's see what happens next. I hope his tummy ache goes away. But round the end of the cucumber frame, whom should he meet but Mr. McGregor? Mr. McGregor was on his hands and knees planting out young cabbages, but he jumped up and ran after Peter, waving a rake and calling out, "Stop, thief!" Peter was most dreadfully frightened. He rushed all over the garden, for he had forgotten the way back to the gate. Shall we pretend we're Mr. McGregor now? Let's get on our hands and knees and pretend like we're planting out cabbages. Here we go. Reach for that cabbage, plant it in the ground. Reach for that cabbage, put it in the ground. Remember to reach out your opposite leg and your opposite arm. Here we go. A couple more times. And reach. And reach. And twice more. Here we go. Reach for that cabbage. Reach for that cabbage. Whew. That's hard work planting all of those cabbages, isn't it? Then he had to leap up. So let's see how fast you can leap up. Ready, set, go. And he had to chase Peter around the garden. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, but Peter got away. For now. Let's see what happens next. He lost one shoe among the cabbages and the other amongst the potatoes. After losing them, he ran on 4 legs and went faster. Oh my! Let's see if we can run fast on 4 legs, just like Peter. And then we'll stop to see if we also lost our shoes. Can you get your body onto 4 legs? 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we go. Oh. I feel more like a bear. Do you feel like a bear? Can you run very fast on your 4 legs? I sure can. Now let's sit down and see if we have our shoes. So we'll put our feet together. We'll bring one foot up and bring it in and see, oh, I don't think I have a shoe on that foot. And then we'll bring the other one up and see, I don't think I have a shoe on that other foot. We must have lost our shoes too. Just like Peter. Oh no. So I think he might have got away altogether if he had not unfortunately run into a gooseberry net. He doesn't look very happy, does he? He looks pretty scared and got caught by the large buttons on his jacket. It was a blue jacket with brass buttons, quite new. Peter gave himself up for lost and shed big tears. Can you shed some big tears? Seems like he's sad because he's crying. But his sobs were overheard by some friendly sparrows, who flew to him in great excitement and implored him to exert himself. So they're telling him to try to get out of the net, right? Let's see if we can be sparrows and try to help Peter. I'm not really sure what a sparrow sounds like. Maybe you know what a sparrow sounds like, or maybe you can make up your own sparrow sound here. Let's give ourselves a hug. And when we give ourselves a hug, we have this nice beak, right? So we're going to come down and then we're going to come up and go. And then we're going to come down and give ourselves a hug on the other side. And again. Was it fun being a sparrow? I hope Peter got out of there. Mr. McGregor came up with a sieve which he intended to pop on top of Peter, but Peter wriggled out just in time, leaving his jacket behind him. He rushed into the tool shed and jumped into a can, and here's the watering can. It would have been a beautiful thing to hide in if it had not had so much water in it. Mr. McGregor was quite sure that Peter was somewhere in the tool shed, perhaps hidden underneath a flower pot. He began to turn them over carefully, looking under each. Presently, Peter sneezed. Kerchoo! Mr. McGregor was after him in no time, and he tried to put his foot upon Peter, who jumped out a window, upsetting 3 plants. Well, Peter's on the run again, so I guess we have to be on the run again too. Are you ready? Except this time, let's see if we can maybe jump over a pillow or something. So, because we're going to pretend to jump out of the window. Just a second. I'm going to take my pillow from over here and put it right here on the floor. And then when I run around, I can pretend to jump out the window. Oh, phew. Did you make it away from Mr. McGregor? Peter sat down to rest. He was out of breath and trembling with fright, and he had not the least idea which way to go. Also, he was very damp with sitting in that can. You know, when you are trembling and out of breath, when you're sad or when you're having strong feelings, it's a great time to take a break. So let's practice that. When I take a break, I like to sit crisscross applesauce, but you don't have to sit crisscross applesauce. You can find whatever position is most comfortable for you. Then, let's put our hands on our belly, stop, and start taking some deep breaths. So I'm going to inhale a little longer and exhale a little longer. Inhale and exhale. Sometimes it helps if you count how long you take an inhale and an exhale. Like if you count to 3, let's see. Or maybe even 5. And as you sit still and just focus on your breath, your body starts to calm down. I hope that Peter's body starts to calm down too. He's had an interesting time. I mean, he almost got caught by Mr. McGregor, and that could make him feel really sad, scared, angry, and sometimes we feel those feelings too, right? So a strategy you could use is when you're feeling those feelings, put your hands on your tummy, take some deep breaths, and just calm down. Let's see what happens next to Peter Rabbit. After a time he began to wander about, going lippity-lippity, not very fast, and looking all around. He found a door in a wall, but it was locked, and there was no room for a fat little rabbit to squeeze underneath. An old mouse was running in and out over the doorstep, carrying peas and beans to her family in the wood. Peter asked her the way to the gate, but she had such a large pea in her mouth she could not answer. She only shook her head at him. Let's pretend to be the gate, and then we can pretend to be the mouse. So when I think of a gate, I think it stands nice and tall, and then there's a part that moves in and out, right? So let's kneel on our knee here, put our foot out to the side, bring our arm up and our other arm out, and then we can lean right over, put our hand flat on the floor. This is a great place to be. If you want, you can even bring this opposite leg out. Here's our gate. When you're ready, come on down and let's do our gate on the other side. So remember, your knees down, your legs straight out, put your hand up, put your arm out, tip on over, put your hand right underneath your shoulder here. And again, this is a great place to be, or you can bring this other leg up and go into like this side plank. I'm going to just stay here though. And then come on down. So that was our gate. Why don't we be a mouse now? So I'm thinking a mouse kind of goes like this with their hands, and maybe they get down like this, and maybe they wiggle their little tails. Can you wiggle your little tail? I'd like to see your mice. I bet they're really cute. Peter began to cry. Then he tried to find his way straight across the garden, but he became more and more puzzled. Presently, he came to a pond where Mr. McGregor filled his water cans. A white cat was staring at some goldfish. She sat very, very still, but now and then the tip of her tail twitched as if it were alive. Peter thought it best to go away without speaking to her. He had heard about cats from his cousin, little Benjamin Bunny. I wonder what a cat would do to a bunny rabbit. Let's pretend to be cats. Ready? Let's get on for our all fours. So our hands here and our knees right underneath our hips. And then we can curl our backs just like a Halloween cat. And then come back down to a straight back. And then curl your back like a Halloween cat, maybe even hiss. And then straighten your back. And one more time, hiss. And straighten your back. Now, what was the other thing? Oh yes, goldfish. So, to be a fish, it's pretty much the opposite of being a cat. You stick your feet out in front of you and you point your toes. You take your elbows and you put them right underneath your elbows. You stick out your chest as if you're a flying fish. Don't forget to breathe here. So now you've been a cat and a goldfish. I hope Peter makes it out. Let's see. He went back towards the tool shed, but suddenly, quite close to him, he heard the noise of a hoe. Scritch! Scratch, scratch, scritch. Peter scuttered underneath the bushes. But presently, as nothing happened, he came out and climbed upon a wheelbarrow and peeked over. The first thing he saw was Mr. McGregor hoeing onions. His back was turned onwards Peter, and beyond him was the gate. Sorry, I need to reread that. His back was turned towards Peter, and beyond him was the gate. Peter got down very quietly off the wheelbarrow and started running as fast as he could along a straight walk behind some black currant bushes. Mr. McGregor caught sight of him at the corner, but Peter did not care. He slipped under the gate and was safe at last in the wood outside the garden. We should practice pretend to run away from Mr. McGregor and then slide under the gate. Ready? Get up on your 2 feet. I'm going to move my pillow out of the way. Here we go. Run, 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 run. Run, 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 run. Run away from Mr. McGregor, and then we get to the gate and we're done. Here's the gate. Ready? Crawl under the gate. Pop up your head. Are we there? Let's practice again. Pop up. Pop your head up. Look around. We're in the woods. One more time. Pop your head up. We're in the woods. All right. Now he's safe. Let's see what happens next. Mr. McGregor hung up the little jacket and the shoes for a scarecrow to frighten the blackbirds. Should we be a scarecrow too? Let's see if you can be a scarecrow. Let's put our arms out like this, and then let's put one of our legs out like this. Can you balance there? It's okay if you can't get your leg up this far. You can bring it down here. And if you get a little tippy, that's okay, because scarecrows are sometimes a little tippy, especially if it's a windy day, right? Let's bring that foot down and then bring up our other foot. Do you think I could scare birds away? Maybe we can even try putting our feet out to the side like a scarecrow. Let's see. Ooh, this is a little harder, isn't it? And then let's switch sides. Whew. Wow, I wonder if Peter Rabbit will ever get his shoes and coat back. Mr. McGregor hung up the little jacket and the shoes for a scarecrow to frighten the blackbirds. Peter never stopped running or looked behind him till he got home to the big fir tree. He was so tired that he flopped down upon the nice soft sand on the floor of the rabbit hole and shut his eyes. His mother was busy cooking. She wondered what he had done with his clothes. It was the second little jacket and pair of shoes that Peter had lost in a fortnight. I'm sorry to say that Peter was not very well during the evening. His mother put him to bed and made some chamomile tea, and she gave a dose of it to Peter. 1 teaspoon to be taken at bedtime, but Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail had bread and milk and blackberries for supper. And that is the story of Peter Rabbit. Well, the tale of Peter Rabbit. So let's, for this last part of our class, pretend that we are Peter Rabbit at the end of a very long day. We've been sliding under gates. We've been running away from Mr. McGregor. We got caught in a net. We had to jump into a watering can. We got wet and we were scared and sad and we ran, and we were just exhausted. And so now let's lay down. So if you have a comfy blanket or a stuffed animal nearby, go ahead and grab it. I'm going to get my blanket and cover up with it because I think that's most comfortable, and lay down. Now, if you would like, you can if you would like, you can either leave your knees bent or you can lengthen them out. Sometimes it feels more comfortable one way and sometimes it feels more comfortable the other way. And then I invite you to close your eyes, maybe even put your glasses to the side if you have glasses, or find a soft gaze. And come back to that moment when we were calming down, just like Peter was calming down because he had been running and running and running. So we're putting our hands on our bellies. Then at first, maybe we just breathe in and out like normally. And then maybe, if it feels okay to you, start inhaling a little deeper and exhaling a little deeper. Notice how your belly gets bigger and then your belly gets smaller. And just focus on that. And if you start thinking about other things or get distracted by other things, then you just bring your attention back to your belly going in and out, and the air going in and out. And as you do this, I hope you notice that your body starts to feel a little more calm. I think we learned a few things from Peter Rabbit today. I think we learned to listen to our parents because Mother Rabbit was right. We probably shouldn't have gone in Mr. McGregor's garden. But I think we also learned about different feelings, didn't we? He was feeling a lot of different feelings. He was sad, he was scared, he was cold. And we learned about what we can do when we have feelings like that. We can find a quiet spot and take a few belly breaths and just calm down our bodies. I encourage you to use this strategy throughout the week whenever you're feeling one of those strong feelings. Sometimes when we feel those feelings, they're really big and scary, but you know what? That's when even me as an adult, I take a few belly breaths and I feel so much better. I hope you enjoyed this story today. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you soon. Bye.